Hey family, it's Tammy. That's actually my real name. But Empress Tam 444 Bam. That's how you refer to me on this channel. Because I want you to remember that. And you got to say Empress Tam 444 Bam, just like that. It's a theme. Okay, so I told you guys earlier in my first video that I had so many downloads and I just didn't know how to interpret it to you guys. So, the universe sent me blocks and pieces how I can communicate to you according to the source law. I don't have no choice in this. I receive the information and I deliver it the way that I get it. But this is a good one because, mm, I mean, I'm not super proud of what happened, but what I'm super proud of is the fact of confirmation. And I want to share this with you because I want you to know that when you stand on your toes and you do what you're supposed to do and you create boundaries and you know you're in full protection and also still being of service to help any individuals to be able to recognize how they mishandle you. Because you can't mishandle everybody. You shouldn't mishandle anybody. See, this is what's happening. We are elevating to a different frequency. And everybody has to learn how to treat people with dignity, respect, and protect each other without that blank attitude of not being accountable, not understanding consequences, and not being consistent. That's that narcissistic energy. See, this energy, I just hate to say this, but I don't really feel like that narcissistic energy is gonna survive through the total ascension. I mean, that's the reason why I feel like our job is to be of service to help them heal. Okay, see, and what sources provide me with in this information is that he pair an enlightened, open-minded empath with a closed-minded narcissistic to be able to balance the yin to the yang. And that becomes the information and the education under those situations for us to also, for us to learn, our shortcomings, and then also for us to teach them to develop a lot of traits and qualities that could also help them ascend. See, because one thing about it, we as empaths, we can step in somebody else's shoes and understand a great valuable information. And then we can discern those things, and then we can put them in a proper place that still give us an understanding of how to take care of certain individuals that need more help. And it doesn't mean that we ain't hit. We just develop a way of understanding so we don't stay hit. But narcissists, people that's been hit since they was 2-3 years old, and it's not their fault. They stuck. They don't know how to grow up. They are stuck in it's heavy. This one is heavy. Man, it's hard for me to deliver this message. I had to come back online because it took me a minute to process this information. And man, that's why I'm about to hit this blunt, man. Fuck it. I mean, I had this download late last night. I knew this was gonna be a hard one. But narcissists are stuck in childhood. Somebody taught them. And they trained them how to not process their emotions. They stifled them. They stole from them. Some people ain't had no voice and they ain't had no choice. This shit start off at like 2-3 years old. Sometimes, and a lot of times, it comes from just sheer neglect, being inappropriately handled, and not being able to scream out. So, this is the thing. That vetting process start with trying to seduce the person in a manner of telling them, "You so special, you my best, you my favorite. I love you more than I love your mama, your sister, or your brother, or anybody. That's how special you are." That's where the grandiose is coming at. And then they be like, "This is our secret because we got to be able to keep secrets so I can make sure we can't tell nobody this because that's how special this relationship is." And that's where the secrecy come in at. And they continue to do over and over. So that's how the pattern began. And then they will walk around the house or any other environment with a mask on, and then they teach that youngin how to wear a mask to seem like everything is okay. But in the meantime, they will the older adult will throw a red herring over in the corner. Hey, throw it over the corner. Now that corner stink. That's to keep you off. That keeps the individuals in the household looking for where to stink at, so they don't look over there. Where the real shit happening at. Where the real trauma is happening at. And that whole situation traumatizes a whole family. And then they create distance and discord and dishonesty and conflict and confusion through the whole house. And it seamlessly go on as a rhythm and a repeated pattern. That's how the motherfuckers learn how to, that's why they all follow the same script. Because it's a taught, vetted process. And everybody in the house is being manipulated and being confused and being conflicted. And they might not know how to deal with that. So they shut down and everybody put a blind eye on. And then this little kid or whoever's involved in this torture, they learn how to live like that. And after a while, they got so much shame and guilt. They isolate themselves and they go inside their own mind and create a fantasy world where the same people that is actually physical, they go to that, they go there, they go inside their head. And then every single individual that they run across in life, they go inside their head too. That's their fantasy world. And then that's the most enjoyment that a narcissist can have because they're able to create their own world. Because they don't have no voice in this world. Because nobody helped them. They don't know no difference. They become addicted to sex or anything they were exposed to. They get used to not being heard. They get used to being isolated. They get used to being ignored because when they scream for help, ain't nobody hurt. They get used to competing for that love that the individual that exposed them to that type of violence. They get used to the rewards of being the special one. And then a narcissist start to think, I'm better than everybody. I do it better. He loved me more. She loved me more. They get used to that shit. And then, after a while, once complete isolation becomes to unfold, and then the family structure starts to break down, and then everybody starts to shut the fuck up because nobody want to talk about it. They want to just turn a blind eye. The individual that's really, really hit, they'll branch out to continue the same cycle, but in different relationships. They're mad possessive because they were possessive over the person that hurt them. Because they was a special one. The special one. It's all about me. It's all about me. And then they get stuck in that same childhood trauma at the age of where it started. Sometimes people are motherfucking 3-year-olds and adult baddies, and they literally act out, have simple tantrums, and that's what that narcissistic breakdown look like. And the people in their family, they act like they don't see it, just like they act like they ain't see it. Bad them. Because they are victims too to the manipulation And they're trying to cope as well in their own isolation process. Acting like they don't even know it. Okay. This is the reason why the higher source, our whole source, pair us empaths with these people, because we go through shit too, but we are stronger and able to maneuver in love to be able to help ourselves. We go in and we sort it out and we make sense of it and we forgive and we are able to move on. But some people get stuck at 3 years old and they can't move on. And then the whole family literally, they condone that. They don't help them because they hit too. They don't know how to heal. So they don't want to acknowledge that their family member needs help. So Source told me, this is exactly what Source told me to say. He could bind us empaths that's strong enough to be able to sort ourselves out and still continue in love with these motherfuckers that is stuck and they know it's going to be a hard job to plant a seed and to give them love and acknowledge them, to let them speak out and to be able to give them a fair chance to have a choice on what path they want to take. And to walk right beside them, because Source walked right beside all of us. But sometimes these individuals know that they are being helped from higher spirit, but it's so stuck, they just don't believe it because they don't believe nobody. All they believe in is the original feeling of the love that they thought was love, which was sexual connection. And then they don't trust love because of the pleasure and being trained and learn and being trained in that type of betrayal. They don't, at that young age, they don't know what's right or wrong. But at some point, when that situation keep perpetuating itself, the body betray itself and they begin to enjoy it. And then they start feeling shame and guilt, and then they develop their mask. And then they go out into the world doing the same thing they was vetted to do since they was little kids. They don't know right or wrong. They got stuck at 3, 4, 5 years old. They don't know. That's why Source paired them up with us, because we know how to heal. They do not. But everybody has a choice. And we can, listen, we're here to help. But we're not here to get broken down by and triggered by all of the negativity. That's all they have. That's all they ever seen. We are not meant for the purpose to absorb all of that. We gotta know when to start, we gotta know when to quit. When the job is up. Because it's God and Source is gonna provide. God, Source, is gonna provide some more help for them, but it might not be on your level. Your job is finished. The next light worker is gonna be in place to take them to the next level, because there's levels to this. And that's why we all go through levels. That's why we can't get burnt out. That's why we gotta have self-care. And it's not their fault. However, we can't make it our fault either, because we did the work. Now, they got to too. We can't do the work for them and us. We can only lead them to the water, but the motherfuckers need to drink, or they go the other way. That's their choice. At some point, they're just going to get left behind. And that's word. And I'm sorry this was a rough message, because it was hard for me to process this to even say it. And I feel bad. But the word got to, listen, the lit got to read what the lit read. I love you, family. Empress Town 444, bam. We're moving forward together. And we're going to move forward in higher spirits. Peace.